Well, hello. How are you, my queens? How are you? Um, Bit of a nightcap. You know how I do when I'm inspired. Yes, when I'm inspired. Inspiration comes to me in so many different ways. And I like to share my inspirations with you, my sisters in recovery. And it's important that I do share with you because our life has never been easy. And getting to the point where we are at in life has not been easy for us. You feel me? And on a reality tip, nobody life is really easy. It's not. So people who laugh at our real life and our real life struggles, they are so funny. And their life is a joke. It is. Because their whole life is empty. Okay, let me tell you why I feel this way. I feel this way because I told you I am the voice of the African American black woman in the hood that live around haters. Okay, so this is a modern day plantation, is what the great Malcolm X has expressed time and time again in his day, because the hood basically is. But the thing about it is, it's a mixed thing going on now, because you have in the hood, there are different cultures of people, but everyone does not act the same. Just those of a like mind. They may be of different races, but they still have a like mind. Okay, and anyone that falls up under the category of the N word, which is a lifestyle, that's exactly who they are, what they are. If they choose to live their life as that definition, you know what I mean? So if you know the definition, then you know what I'm talking about. And if you are a African American black woman who has overcome an addiction and you live around people who think that your life is funny because of your struggles in life that you have overcome, okay? So it doesn't really matter where we go at, okay? We're going to have people to giggle. You feel me? That I do not want you to get offended by, because a lot of those people are too old to be acting that way. They are. Anyone, if you ask me, anyone that behaves that way, um, they're too old if they're past the age of 21. Even if they're just, you expect that from teenagers. Teenagers gonna do that, but grown people that done had some kids, mm-mm, you don't expect that, you know. So the spirit spoke to me tonight, and what he told me was to title this "People who call real life funny. Life is so funny." And it is. And we're going to thank God for this podcast and this vision and this focus, because this is my focus. This is my calling. I am a favorite daughter of God for the simple reason that my experiences I share, I'm not afraid to speak on the glory of God, because God is in everything. And I thank Him. I thank Him so much for His only begotten Son, Jesus. I thank Him for the Holy Spirit that warms us up on the inside when people of this world have treated us so cold, so cruel, on the outside, because we've come in from the outside world. Superficial things are not impressive to us. People who laugh at real life, they are not impressive at all. So I do not want you to ever be intimidated by anyone who may laugh at your real life, because you are a reflection of what they cannot do, and that is to stand strong alone by yourself. So I'm taking me a little stroll, and I love to do this because it clears my mind. And I don't do it all the time. I do it sometimes. Every so often, I'll get me a stroll in. I'm getting older. I'm 52 years old. And I like to do that sometimes, and that's great. It gets the blood flowing, it gets going. So being that I am unapologetic for any move I make, because I don't make the wrong moves, I don't try to make moves to impress or attract. I don't try to attract anything. I'm a chosen woman. I'm a real woman, so I'm automatically am going to get attention, and I don't have to pay attention to no one because people are always after my attention. They are, and they're always after yours, and I know they are. I know they are. If you're listening here, someone is always after your attention. You feel me? Now, so I'm taking my stroll, and there goes, the enemy trying to get at me because I'm clean. I'm feeling great, and I'm just taking me a stroll, and the enemy trying to get at me. You feel me? And so I'm like, wow, you too old for this. Not me, but the enemy who he was able to jump into and tell you, because they jump spirits. He have those monitoring spirits, jump spirits. They do. And there's a movie that coincide with this. It's called Fallen with Denzel Washington, and that spirit was after him, and it just kept jumping, 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 and would jump, jump, jump until it was trying to get close to him. But he did beat him. Now he did. Um, so while I'm walking, I'm on this street, and there goes the enemy trying to get at me, and I'm like, "You're too old for this." Speaking at that spirit, get thee behind me, Satan. You're too old for this. So I round the corner. When I get around the corner, there's another one. And then the spirit in this person apologized, said it was sorry, and I'm like, yes, I know you're sorry. I do, because I was like, oh, a witch, because of the laugh, the way it came out. And then there goes the sorry. Yes, I know you're sorry. I know you are. If you just that much of a pushover, you know then you must really be a sorry, individual for that to happen. Because when you have a mind that is focused on real life, and I'm telling you, this is something almost 11 o'clock at night. You feel me? And I look at certain these type of women, and I'm like, if I was a man, um, that couldn't be the woman. My woman would have to have her life together, her priorities in order for me to even lay down with a woman. If I was a man, she would have to have her priorities together, where she don't bring no static to our house, no static to where we are at. She would have to have it in that nitpicking and stuff. So my thing is, this would not be the place where my woman is. And then again, she may be, but she would be that one that mind her business, that one that handle her business. She would be that one that has no friends because they're not on her level. It is not that she is incapable of making friends. It's just that where she is right now, they're not on her level to be a friend. You feel me? So, and that's how I would be, because you can't judge a person by what they look like, where they live, their pocketbook size, or nothing. You just call it like you see it. So that's the type of guy I would be. You understand? I would call it like I see it, like the millionaire did with those three women: his girlfriend, his assistant, and his maid. So he chose the maid because the girlfriend, she just was in it for material things and attention from people. The assistant, she was in it to build her ego and her status in the business world, and be ready to betray him at any time for higher pay. But the maid was conservative and selfless. You feel me? And that's who he chose. So that would be the case. But just to just to see this type of people with that type of emptiness in their life. And when I take me a nice little stroll, I'm a woman, and I love to take strolls. I don't fear anything coming at me, because I know that I'm protected by the blood of God, and I'm protected by His love, because I'm not doing nothing wrong. You know what I mean? And you have to ignore remarks too from funny people, because funny people can make some remarks that reflect their own selves. Okay, they don't realize what's coming out of their mouth when they make these comments. It is simply a reflection of who they are as an individual. It is not what you are, because what you not is what they want you to be. So what you are is what they wish they could be. They wish they could stand on their own 10 toes without a background singer, a two or three or four or five. You know, the largest group that I've ever seen in history was M. Toomey. Anybody remember M. Toomey? Yes. That's the largest group I've ever seen in entertainment. So I fall back and I let them act in Hollywood because they underpaid actors and their acting is not good. You feel me? So I fall back and I let them act, you know. And when I do that, I see that it causes friction. And when it causes that friction, it lets me know right then and there. I get a sound off that the enemy is offended. I can tell that by the reaction of the tailor-made haters. Now, if you really want some confirmation, do good. Keep yourself looking really nice, smelling nice, looking nice. You know you. The hater is an opposer, just like the enemy. Okay, they want to oppose you. They want to make believe about you because they living in a fantasy, a world of pretending because they're grouped up. Anyone catch them by themselves, they are not the same person they are in the group. And see, that's what makes you stand out. Okay, that's what make you stand out. And when they giggle about it, what they're really thinking and saying is, "Damn, damn, you know, wow." Is what the dang. She really walking by herself? Don't she hear us? Don't she see me? I could see and not see, and I could hear and not hear. I have selective, you know, hearing and selective seeing. So I see what I want to and hear what I want to. So if I'm not looking for your attention and you looking for mine, that's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to give me your attention. Simple, simplify, simplicity, any way you want to put it. Okay, so not to be impressed, it really rattles the enemy. It rattles his feathers, and it really does. It rattles his feathers because what he don't understand is why he can't break you, and that's the enemy that walk on two legs on the earth, not the big enemy. He already know why he cannot do it. It's just that there are people who don't know, but they're going to keep trying and trying and trying because they don't know what it is. And every time they try you, God gonna bless you right before their faces. And then that's gonna really make them angry then. It's gonna make them angry because you're not paying them no attention. And they're gonna think that you are blessing yourself. You are not blessing no one. Everything that we get comes from God. Every breath we take comes from God. Every morsel of food that we eat comes from God. The water in the shower, in the bathtub, the soap, the rag, everything comes from God. So that it is very important not to overlook those things because that's real life. And the secret, you wouldn't believe the people who do what they do. There was a little girl, she was 8 years old. And her uncle was a well respected man in the community. He was a deacon in the church. And he was molesting her. And he told her time and time again, every time he molested her, that nobody was going to believe her because of his status. No one would. And she kept on going through it. She was dying inside because of this secret. But when one day she was sitting at the table with her auntie, which happens to be his wife, and they were sitting there. And she said, "Auntie." And her auntie said, "Yes." She says, Uncle Rogers has been touching me down here and back here. And he did other things. She told him about everything that he did to her and which he made her do to him. Her auntie dropped the fork. She couldn't believe it. And she kept on going and she started crying. And right at that moment, her auntie knew that her niece wasn't lying because she was telling the truth. And when she spoke her truth, it made her feel so better because he always would tell her, no one is going to believe you. No one is, especially not your auntie. You see, that was his fear of her speaking on it. And that's what the enemy put in people, that we will be afraid to speak on what they try to do to us. And they cannot do it to us, and we don't speak on it. Okay? We don't speak on it. They don't want us to speak on it, but we speak on it. And that's what he don't like because it's confirmation of his existence, how he does exist, and the people that carry this out. Because you already know the story of the blue house on the corner, and that's exactly where these people was with this giggling. And I'm minding my business. You feel me? And then remarks, "You too old for this." And this is why a lot of people here in these areas like this get hurt because they cannot leave well enough alone. They cannot. It just don't. It can't. They can't do it for the life of them to let live and they live. Live and let live. That's what my mother used to say. I live and let live, and that's how I do too. And my auntie Molly, both of them, God rest their souls. My auntie Molly would say, "Let sleeping dogs lie. Leave that alone. Don't wake that dog up." The dog isn't the person or that one. It's the situation that's a sleeping dog. It ain't your business. So why are you minding it? You understand what I'm saying? So when this young lady spoke on what he was doing to her, he was so embarrassed. He was afraid. The look on his face was shame and fear, all mixed into one. Shame and fear. And through when the community started to learn of what he done, and he's supposed to be such an official in the church and in the community, they were shocked. And it's always a shocker when somebody of some sort of authority or official is found out for doing something so below their title. Anything that they may do, abuse of their authority, below their title, below, you know, their pay. They're getting paid all this money, they're getting all this respect, but they below all of that. You know what I'm saying? And that steady going on. So as I rounded the corner to go to 34th Street, there's this white woman up in these apartments. She's sitting on the steps, right there on the steps, at this time of night. And the only thing I'm doing is taking me a nice stroll through the neighborhood. I'm not picking at nobody. I'm not doing anything. But see, that's how the enemy is. You see what I just said? At first, I passed this blue house right here on the corner. Okay. And as I passed this blue house, that spirit jumped and went right there around the corner from the black women to this white woman who's sitting right there, you know? So the thing is, the giggles from them, it's not offensive after you mature in the spirit. It is not. Because at first you don't understand because you know you living right. You know you're not doing nothing wrong. You're not causing nobody any harm. It isn't what you're doing, it's what you're not doing. And what you're not doing is acting like a dang on it fool. You're not getting out there going tongue to tongue with people because that's all they want you to do is go tongue to tongue. And from the tongue to tongue, then there goes a from hand to hand in the fight in the bloodshed. That's all in the hood with certain classification of people. It's a certain class of people that behave like that. And that is very low class. It really is. So I don't want you to get caught up because people that's doing all this giggling when you done completed addiction, when you done completed 2 or 3 addictions, and they still caught up in the rapture of hatred. That's not on you. And I say my testimonies and I testify because these are real life events and nothing made up. It is real. Now, when I speak on it, it's the truth. And then they want to hide behind that truth with more hatred. And that only shows us that they are the ones who are intimidated. It is not us. We are not intimidated. We are not impressed with people who group up to bother one person. That's cowardliness. Cowards. And it doesn't get to us the way they want it to. It don't reach us that way. So don't you let it reach you. We live in a dog eat dog world. That's what you heard, right? And what the Bible says is, do not cast your pearls before dogs. Okay, don't. So I say, do not let the fleas on these dogs bite you. Don't get so close to these dogs where the fleas jump off of them and bite you and infect you with that hatred. Downplay yourself and dilute your 100 to fit in with theirs. Uh-uh. Don't you do that. Because you are more classy walking than they are driving in an expensive car. You are more classy than them walking. Do you understand? It's your state of mind that overrides the hater. The hater mind is controlled. They have a mindset that is controlled. Do you understand? And your mindset is focused, is not controlled. Okay? Because the remote control car, right? Can't move unless you move it. Okay? A car can't drive unless you put the key in it and drive it. Remember these things. You move with purpose. And there's method to our madness every time we move, hater. It's a method to it. And that means while you trying to show us up, we are not fighting flesh and blood. No, we know it's a spiritual warfare. So when we are moving with purpose and like a current, anyone can get caught up in that. But what we do is stay focused on what we set out to do. And that's what we do, chosen. You stay focused on what you set out to do. And you bring it back to your element, your arch. That's what you do. And you have to remember, people who call real life funny, their life is a joke and it is empty. So they got to vicariously live through other people's life, not their own. You understand? So you should thank God that you are drug free, that you are free, period, from anything in this world that can keep you out of control. I did not come here to bring the war. Mm-mm. I came here to bring you a message so that you can soar straight to the sky. And you know the reason why. Because our God is not asleep. And Jesus did not die. And me, I'm living proof. I'm living proof of everything I said. And it proves to you that God don't sleep and that Jesus is not dead. I love you all. That was your nightcap from your sister. From one chosen to many. From one queen to many. I love you all. Word from the wise to wisen the wise so that you could be wiser. Okay? I love you all. Take care. Thank you for listening. Thank you, subscribers. Thank you for tuning into our Brothers Podcast, PLN with Denise Jenkins, coming to you live from the nation of recovering addicts. Peace out. 40.